Hi, I'm Wes, the sewing machine repair guy, and today we are going to fix a 12 needle embroidery machine. This is going to be a little different video than what you're used to. There's going to be a little bit more story to this one because I don't have video of everything that I did, but I think that this video is going to turn out great and I think you're going to enjoy it. So stick around and here we go. So now I got the machine together and it's time to start troubleshooting. Mrs. K brought me this machine with a problem and in the last video we had to put it together in order to get to the point where we could start troubleshooting the problem. So now that we've got it together, we're going to see if we can reproduce the problem. And as you can see here, there's a 4-inch test pattern, or 100 millimeters, and what this is a circle. And in this picture it looks more like an oval because it's squished. The sides of it, the top and bottom, are not getting high enough. The sides are correct, but the top and bottom are not. Now Mrs. K operates in a business where she sells things that she embroiders, and she's looking at expanding her business, so she got this 12 needle machine. And she got it for a great deal because circumstances regarding the owner of the machine, and she was able to get this machine for a good deal. And it is a Chinese machine. There are many machines exactly like it with different names, and that's just kind of how they do things for these inexpensive machines. The holidays are coming up, and it's the busy season for anybody who crafts and sell things on Etsy or Facebook Marketplace or anything like that. And she wants this machine to work. So we've got to get this thing working so that she can get to business and, be able to increase her output this year and have a lot of things to sell on her store. The other issue that we have here is that she doesn't have the money to buy another machine. She used her money to buy this machine and now it's giving her problems. So she needs to get this machine fixed in order to survive the rush that comes on Christmas. Now there are a lot of obstacles that I have to overcome while working on this machine. The first is I don't really have any experience with these types of machines. So I'm learning as I go. The manual that we have for this machine is a manual. It's kind of useful for embroidering, but it's not useful for anything mechanical with the machine. So it really doesn't tell you anything about how to thread the needle, how to replace a needle, how to work on the machine, how to set it up, how to calibrate it. None of that stuff is in this manual. It's just going through the software and showing you how to use it. Another obstacle that we have with this machine is that the gentleman that she bought it from has recently passed away. And since he passed away, we don't have access to him or a warranty sort of thing for this machine because his business has pretty much shut down. So she was able to reach a repairman that used to work for this business owner, but he couldn't help her because he's a few states away, and the nature of these repairs, he would have had to be here, and she would have had to pay to fly him out and in order to work on the machine. So that was a non-starter for her. I don't have any ill will towards him because he's just trying to feed his family, and I also don't provide assistance for people for their machines over the phone or even really over the internet other than these YouTube videos because it takes way too much time, and in this business, when I'm working on a machine, I need to get paid for it in order to feed my family. So there we go. All right, so now it's time to get into this machine. And if you look in this machine, when we first started up, we'll see if we can figure out what the issue is. I'm going to go through a couple of these settings on the machine here. So I do notice that if I want to go into any sort of diagnostics, I'm going to have to use a password. And I don't know what this password is, so I'll get up on Google and I will see if I can find this password on Google. Yeah, no luck on Google trying to find a password. So I'm fairly certain to adjust what I need to adjust, I need a password because this is probably going to be in some of the settings of this machine, and I need to figure out what this password is. So I did call that repairman and he didn't return my phone call, But again, I don't feel any ill will towards him. It's not his fault. If he has this password, he could be contractually obligated not to share it with anyone, because if everybody had the password, then they could easily cause damage to their machine by punching in the wrong number. So we don't want that to happen. So I'm going to search some more. I'm going to see where I can find, see if I can find this password, see if there's any way to bypass it or something. One thing I did find is that there's an alternate boot mode where it's kind of like a cheat code to get into a back end of this machine. Let's see if this could fix our issue. Yeah, no luck on booting in this mode. Really, the only thing you can do here is fix your screen if the touchscreen's not working right. And there's not much else to be done on this that's useful. So I'm going to keep looking. I go onto Facebook groups. So there's a sewing machine resource group, and the gentleman who's the administrator on this group is Mark Sumter, and he's an awesome guy. He's had many years in fixing sewing machines, probably longer than I've been alive, and I get a lot of help from him from time to time. And he recommended Robert Collier from Collier Equipment, and then when I talked to him, he recommended someone else. And at this point, I'm going to hold on to that phone number unless I need it, because again, it's kind of, you put yourself in a weird situation when you're calling a colleague to ask them for a password or for something like that, where they could have a contract that they've signed where they're not allowed to tell people what this password is, and now I'm asking them to be nice and give it to me. So you have to be careful with those sort of things. Now, one of the things Mark Sumter said when I had asked him about this machine is he said that he's worked on some of these machines like this before, but one of the problems is when you get into that when you get into the maintenance mode, there's a lot of settings in there that if you change the wrong setting, then you could break the machine. So you have to make sure that you know what all the settings were before you get into that. And you know, I've worked personally with a few stepper motor basically toys. I've worked with Arduino projects where you have to type in all these numbers for those particular motors, and you know, how many steps there are per or how many degrees per step, and how many steps there are total, and all these different things. There's actually a lot of numbers you have to type in for these things, and if any one of those numbers is wrong, then it's not going to work. So basically what he told me was, if you're going to change something, make sure you know what it was before you changed it, so that you can change it back and put the machine back to where it was. So after talking with Mark Sumter via Facebook, I decided, you know what, let me just make sure that this isn't a hardware problem. So I took the whole machine apart, and unfortunately I didn't get video of this part of it or pictures, because I was just I was in the zone and slightly frustrated, so pulling out a camera was not at the top of my mind. So I stripped down the machine down to the bare frame and everything, took all the plastic off of it. And I found the motor that caused the movement for the y-axis, and took a look at it. I got a picture here. I'll show you a picture of that, and actually removed the motor. And then I started looking online to see if I could find a replacement for that motor, and I could not find a replacement exactly match that motor. So now I'm back in a predicament of, is there something wrong mechanically or not? Because everything seems to work okay at this point. So I put it back together after I went through and I cleaned everything, lubricated, all that kind of stuff, and then put it all back together. I happen to think, so recently I've been working on getting new products for my Etsy store, and I'm buying things from manufacturers, like directly from the Chinese manufacturers, and I'm using a site called Alibaba. So this is not sponsored by them or anything like that, but I know that it's a site you can go to interface with directly with these companies that produce this equipment and also distribute it. So I thought, well, maybe I could get a hold of one of the manufacturers and get the password that way. And I knew that this was going to be one of those games of numbers, because the person I'm talking to most likely is a salesperson, and they're not the person doing the maintenance, and they also really don't have any reason to help me if I'm not purchasing from them. So I messaged, probably somewhere between 6 and 10 of these companies that have the same machine but different names. I couldn't find the company with the exact same name. It's probably long gone by now. But it's exact same machines, exact same control panel, software, all that stuff. So I messaged a bunch of them. And I've, a couple of them responded, said, oh, what kind of machine do you have? Oh, and they wanted to know, was it their exact machine? Or they said, when did you purchase it? Or what's the serial number? And I knew these questions were kind of dead-end questions, because once they know I didn't buy the machine from them, I was in trouble. But I was just honest with them. I said, hey, listen, I'm working on one of these machines. I'm a technician and I'm trying to fix it, and I need this password in order to do that. And a lot of them just said, no, we can't do that. We can't provide you with that. So every morning when I woke up, I'd come down to the workshop and I'd see that machine, because it's huge and it's in the middle of everything, and I'd see that machine just mocking me. It's just standing there, just looking at me like, hey, have you figured me out yet? For me, fixing machines, it's not as much about the money as it is actually fixing something and having the satisfaction that I can complete it and get it fixed and get it back to the customer so they can use it. So there was that machine every morning just standing there, just mocking me as I went and worked on other machines and did other things around it. Then one morning as I woke up from my slumber with my puppies, I noticed that I had an email. And it was a message from Zoe. And Zoe gave me the password. One of these manufacturers, Zoe, I'm not going to say what company you work for or your full name or anything like that, but you made my day. Thank you so much, Zoe, because you gave me that password. And now I've got to go downstairs and see if it works. So I type in this password that she gave me, and it worked. We're in. Awesome. I'm so happy. It's like happy dance time. We're doing our happy dance. We're dancing around because we got the password finally. This is the thing I've been waiting for so long, and I didn't think anybody would give it to me, and here it is. I have the correct password in my hands, and now I can get to working on this machine and get it to work right. All right, let's see what this password will do. So we type it in, and what menu should I go for? Okay. What's this? Oh dear. Maybe I should check out one of these menus. Oh boy. Okay. What should I do here? What should I do? Going through all these menus. Is it this? No, it's not that. let's look at these frame menus. Well, now here's a bunch of stuff on this frame. The garment frame. This has a bunch of X and Y type stuff. Maybe this would help. All right. Here's what I'm going to do. I'm going to take a picture of this screen, and I'm going to take a picture of this screen, so I have the X and I have the Y. And now I'm going to compare these two and see what we get. So, all right, if you look on the X, there, second from the bottom on the left-hand column, you've got an X stepping angle. It says 12. And if you look on the Y step, in the same spot, it says Y step number, I guess, number. It says 20. Now, wait a minute. What did that motor look? What did that motor say on it? It said 1.2 degrees per step. So, do you think that 12 means 1.2? I mean, we could try it. So we'll type in 12 here and give it a try. And look what happens. That was it. So I did a little calibration program on there and moved the XY axes around. It looked like it was working right. So then I put in a whole new piece of fabric in there, and it printed a perfect circle. Oh, it's fixed. It's fixed. So I had to get that password. I had to figure out what these words meant. The Chinese to English translation on this thing was different for the X than it was for the Y. For the same it should have been translated to the same word, but it wasn't. One said step number, the other said step angle. And that was it. Wow. Wow. Whew. This took a long time to do. This took a few weeks to go through, and this is a lot of back and forth between people. And it is so amazing that we were able to find it out. And like I said, Zoe, you're my hero. Thank you so much for helping me out. And you know, we got this machine working. And what do we take away from this? I mean, what do we really learn in the end when you're working on a machine and it's just getting the best of you and you feel like you hit dead ends left and right and left and right? You know, for me, it's perseverance. You have to work your way through it, and don't let those doors that shut prevent you from finding another way in. You have to keep working. You have to keep trying. And you know, we can't get frustrated when people don't want to help us or have a reason why they can't help us. It's not their fault. And we shouldn't say bad things about these people. We shouldn't hate on these people. Everybody has their reason. So this password, I can't let this password out on the internet. I can't let it out on YouTube. Unfortunately, because it's a system where the manufacturers and the distributors have these passwords in order to conduct repairs on these machines. And it's really unsafe for your average Joe to get in there, because there are a lot of numbers that I had no idea what they do on those pages. And any one of those numbers could have been adjusted, and then you may not notice until as your embroidery happens over time that last stitch is not as consistent as the first one was, because there's a little bit of a difference each stitch it makes. So these machines, you know, all these adjustments, you have to either know what you're doing or be able to return back to a known condition when you're altering these sort of things. I think we learned a lot in this video, and I hope you enjoyed it. I did this kind of differently today, and you know, I hardly ever ask for people to subscribe or do things like that. But you know, if you want to support the channel, the best way to support the channel is the Patreon, because that's money that goes straight into the channel and making it better. So I appreciate everything you've done, and I appreciate you watching me. I appreciate you looking at what we do here, and you know, all the things that you do for me. I appreciate it. You know, people send me things. I like this plaque back here. This is a nice little plaque. I really do like that plaque. It's pretty nice. So thank you for watching me, and thank you for sticking around to the end of this video. I know it's probably a long one. Have a good day. Thanks.